Hello, this is Mr. Goldberg with a video reviewing Native American groups. So the Aztecs would be down here in central Mexico, the Maya on the Yucatan Peninsula, and in Guatemala, Belize, that area over there. The Moundbuilders are along the Mississippi River and south into Georgia, as we'll see. And the Anasazi are here in the Four Corners region of the United States. So we'll look at each of those in turn. First, I'm going to take us, just for comparison point, over to Egypt and look at some of the earlier pyramids that the Egyptians made. This is Egypt. Here's the Nile River. You can see along here. And the pyramids the Egyptians made were near the modern city of Cairo. And we can just click on a link to look at them. They're pretty big. You've probably seen them before. So there's some pictures of the interior, that sort of thing. But just how big are they? If we measure in, let's go in feet. The biggest pyramid is about 700 feet. From end to end, if you go diagonally, it's almost 1,000 feet. But end to end, it's about 700 feet and change. So that's just for perspective. So now we'll go back to the Americas. And again, Anasazi, Moundbuilders, Aztec, Maya. So let's start with the Aztec. And if we come in here to Teotihuacan, there's a huge development here, actually. There are a bunch of pyramids. This is the Pyramid of the Moon. And then you can see sort of some of the other ones along here. This one here, I believe, is the Pyramid of the Sun. And these were built before the Aztecs, actually. The Aztecs used these some, and the Aztec capital we'll see in a minute, but these were built by Native Americans who were here earlier. And if you hang on one sec, so this is a little map that shows Pyramid of the Moon, Pyramid of the Sun, and this is the Temple of Quetzalcoatl. And I'll come back to Google Earth and we can click on that for a second. So this is the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, and it's got some intricate carvings along here. So this is pre-Aztec. And then the Aztecs built something over in what is now Mexico City. And Mexico City is a huge built-up city. You can see lots of, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see the full grid of Mexico City. It's a very populous place. You can look up the population of Mexico City. But this downtown area here, they haven't built on because these are where some of the temple ruins are. And you can see that's like a serpenty mound. You get the idea. And this is a ruin from the temple that was conquered by Cortez in the 1500s. So that is the Aztec. And then if we shift over to the Yucatan Peninsula, this is where we'll find the Maya. And a couple Maya ruins. Let's turn on the photos layer here. I guess it is on. If we zoom in a little more, this is a place called Caracol. Hang on, sorry. And this is a Maya ruin in Belize. Let's see a picture of one of those pyramids. Not quite as big as the ones in Egypt, but pretty big. And I forgot to do that, sorry. If we go back to Teotihuacan, this is actually bigger at the base than the, go in here to the Pyramid of the Sun. And this compares pretty favorably to the Egyptian pyramid. If you go from one end to the other, it's about the same. and then from corner to corner, it's a little bit bigger. Doesn't go as high as the pyramid in Egypt, but it's a pretty massive pyramid. You can get a sense of it in some of those pictures. So if we go now over to Palenque, which is one of the places you saw in the 500 Nations video, this is also a pretty big temple complex, and you get the idea. And we believe that 200,000 people lived in this Palenque complex area here. So if we just zoom out again to the Yucatan Peninsula, there's Palenque, this is Caracol, which I showed you. But if we just zoom in a little bit with the photos layer on, you can see, okay, this looks like that might be more Maya ruins, and in fact it is. And then there's a really big Maya city up here. So you can see they're all over this area, and they just sort of disappeared in around 900 AD. Okay, so now we're going to go up to the United States, and we'll take a look at the mound builders. Turn off that big thing for a second. And this is where you'd find Monk's Mound and the Serpent Mound and a mound in Georgia, just to show you that they're not only along the Mississippi River. This here is the Mississippi River. But they're in the southeast as well. So if we zoom into Monk's Mound, we can compare it to the pyramids in Egypt. This whole thing here is Monk's Mound. And from one end to the other, it's bigger, actually, at the base than the pyramids. If you go from corner to corner, you can see it's a little bit bigger than the pyramids. This is the Serpent's Mound. It's over here in Ohio. And if you remember from the video, it looks like a big serpent. This might be a pretty good picture of it. They spelled serpent wrong, unfortunately, but there you go. And then here's a mound over in Georgia, not nearly as big, but they do have mounds throughout the region. And then just for a little bit of perspective on where Monk's Mound is, this is St. Louis, Missouri, which is right on the Mississippi River. Here's downtown St. Louis, and this is where Ferguson, Missouri is, the Michael Brown case. Not very far away. If we go in miles instead of feet, we can see that Ferguson is maybe 15 miles from Monk's Mound. So just to get some context there. Now let's get over to the Four Corners. And I'll turn off the big, well, the Anasazi are in this region. Just turn off Anasazi for a second. And there's actually, where the four states come together, there's a little memorial here. Well, I guess not a memorial, but you'll see in a second. So this is where cars can park and people come, and it's sort of exciting because you can actually be in all four states at the same time. If you come right down to the middle here, put 2 hands here, 2 feet there, you're in Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico at the same time. And if we zoom out, we can see those states here: Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. And the ruins that the Anasazi built, this is Pueblo Bonito. It's in New Mexico. And I'll turn off the photos for a second so you can see it better. This is the outline of the ruins that they left there. And this was built around 900 and flourished till around 1100. And if we look at some of the photos, you should remember some of these from the video, but you get a sense of what that looks like. And it's in an area called Chaco Canyon. That's why it says Chaco culture up there. And then when this sort of dried up, they moved 85 miles north up to a place called Mesa Verde. So that's up. This area in here is Mesa Verde, and this big marker here is the Cliff Palace. So this is right here, and we can see some of the buildings built right into the cliffs, and this is around 1100 to 1300, and around 1300 seems to be when this was abandoned, and the Anasazi, as we've talked about, were the ancestors of the modern Pueblo. So that would be in Colorado, but there are also Anasazi ruins in Utah and Arizona, just sort of all around this area. So we're coming up on 11 minutes, and that's a pretty good summary, I think, of some of the Native American groups that we've learned about.